Hi, YouTube. I hope you're doing good. I'm having a pretty good day, not bad. Kind of cool, oddly enough. It got down to 50 degrees last night, so yeah, it was chilly actually. So, really, really weird for this time of year. We're usually really hot, but it is like further north from us, it's kind of typical to get even cooler at night and really hot during the day. So, um, yeah, I don't know. Just, oh, it's not globally warm here today. you know, I may get interrupted. I'm not sure if I do. We'll deal with it as it comes. I watch. I have. I follow some people over on Facebook called Fair Media, and one of the ladies calls herself Queen Bee on YouTube. A really nice lady brought our attention to a crime that was committed towards a 9-year-old girl. The story is over there on Queen Bee, capital Q. Um, I think large B. I think. Um, but anyway, uh, this 9-year-old girl, her mother, her grandmother, and the boyfriend all lived in this, I would call semi posh, I mean, above average um, dwelling that looked like Miami Beach with a pool outside, like totally white, modern inside, long white drapes. I mean, like kind of a light carpeting even. It was just beautiful, except for all the filth on the floor and clothes all over, and it was hideous. I mean, absolutely gross. Not something a kid would do, like go clean your room and they got like whatever all over the floor, Legos and all their trucks or whatever, Barbies or whatever. Not like that. No, this was absolute filth. Well, this little girl was found, she had lice so bad it had not only chewed her scalp, it ran out of scalp to eat, and they moved onto her face, and she probably died from anemia. So, this 9-year-old girl was neglected by these people or all the people that lived around, anybody that knew, if they knew that little baby was being neglected and abused. It is, do you know that it is a criminal act if you see a child being abused that you don't report it or address it? Yeah, it is. Because if you were to walk away, that's neglect. So just thought I'd throw that in there. So I watched that this morning, and I watched, well, it was live over on Facebook talking to people. It's just, yeah, they're guilty of murder, neglect, murder through neglect. So that's horrid, really horrid. And with the internet nowadays, even if they were poor, which they weren't, obviously, and the mom and the grandmother were obese, they didn't miss a meal. Why they let this baby die? So yeah, it's disgusting. And once again, I'll say because I really did not know. I thought because like I watched like my cousins being treated well by their parents and kids at school looked happy, so I did not know that a birth parent would treat a child poorly. Even when my own children experienced it, I did not see it coming. Didn't. I had no clue. I thought birth parents were good to their children. I thought that's just the way it was. And, oh, I was wrong. So Pretty terrible story. Mm. Another case of neglect that Queen Bee had reported on was a woman that had been left handicapped, sitting on a couch for so long in her own feces. The maggots and stuff literally devoured her, just that's horrible. So, yeah, pretty bad. But then I watched Bruce Seasall had old old art. Some was like wood prints. I feel like I have a hair in my eye. And some were like oil paintings from 1200 or whatever, and depicting UFOs in some of the art. So that was interesting. And then Rex Bear League Project had something on aliens, and somebody else, I think it was like wearechange.org, or We Are Change on YouTube, he's called, um, talking about aliens. And oh, and somebody else was talking about these companies that you give your DNA to, like whatever. I'm not going to name any names, but you know what I mean. You give your DNA and then they tell you who you are and whatever. How there's different labs that could literally uh, genetically construct um, a weapon, a bio weapon, specifically aimed at your bloodline or whoever, your genetics. So, um, that, but on that note, they have umbilical cords from us, and foreskin from little baby boys, and I'm sure they take samples of blood when that baby's born, and you know everything. They measure its skull to try and figure out where the kundalini is. I mean, the tests they do, not just on the heart and the lungs, and the things they do. I'm sure they have all our DNA that were born in a hospital. Um, they already have it, most likely. So, yeah, I got a lot of housework done this morning. I had to do and give myself a rest on that letter writing stuff for a bit. Yesterday was a little bit brutal. I haven't gotten it in the mail yet, but I intend to do that tomorrow for my son. So, I mean, it's not easy, but I just can't have people that are volatile around me. And I just don't know. And I've been through it so much. It's just like at any given moment, peace can turn into chaos. I can't live like that, So it feels horrible to have to say no, but saying yes has gotten me in really bad predicaments in my life with people. So, yeah. So, anyway, yeah, I don't know. What a mess. And then I'm thinking about, oh, did you hear like TSA um was caught letting airlines letting illegal immigrants on planes, something like 20,000 of them, um, using their warrants that they got at the border for ID to get on the plane and be flown like to Washington, D.C. or wherever they went. different places and bust around. They were literally letting these people. And if you've been in an airport, if you know what it's like to even get through that stuff, even when you don't have a warrant, then we have to really ask ourselves what is going on here, So I'm gonna share a video by Robbins Hood. He's talking about um, the spirit of Satan, that specifically not being the entity himself, but the spirit that some people carry around with them, and he's talking directly to that spirit. So if you have people in your life that are kind of like that, you might want to put it on loud and play it for them while you're listening to it. You might find it interesting, his thoughts on what's going on in the world. And he's like me in that respect, thinking out loud. None of us can prove definitively anything, but going on maybe what we do read and how we feel when we read it, and how we're guided by the divine spirit, the spirit from the Almighty. That's a little different, I think. So, like you just know it, type of thing. So, but yeah, it's a good video. It's like 20 some minutes long, like 27 minutes or something, and he starts out, "Dear Satan." I don't know. Can we really reach the people that are in control of mass quantities of people? Can we actually reach them with our words and our thoughts at all? Or are they aliens or demons that pretend to be aliens that are trying to breed with human beings, um, to be able to ascend, to be able to escape their prison that they made for themselves out of greed, and they still haven't changed. They're still the same, you know, and they're trying to, they're using uh, biology and people to try and escape their prison so they can create more chaos and control forever with human beings. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. I say they're demons. And like I told Doug too yesterday, and a couple people, I don't want to hear any more of this who's doing what, where, in whose government or anything. If they sit at the same table, they're my enemy at this point. So things have gotten too serious with people not being able to grow crops, and different uh, regulations and laws that they're trying to get passed that are going to harm and kill more people. And I'm not going to mince words or barter with these demons, um, and the people with their dark force energy helping all that stuff. No, they get no sympathy from me, no pity either. Nothing, nothing, absolutely nothing. You know, I had a scenario for Doug. He said something about 12 families are waiting in America right now to adopt one child. And me being anti adoption, I gave him a scenario. He had a dog named Reefer, and his daughter's name is Christine. I said, okay, um, we'll just go with the puppy first. I said, or even your cat. I said to him, right now, there's somebody that has millions and millions of dollars. They're able to care for your animal far better than you are. And if your cat gets sick and needs like a $30,000 operation that you can't afford, you need to give your cat to the people that have more money. Although you love your cat, that cat will be better off in that rich person's home. And he may be abused and he may not be loved, but that doesn't matter. I told him right now today, you tell me you would sign papers so somebody could adopt your this is a cat now or a dog. I said, now let's talk about your daughter. I said, could you ever sign a piece of paper and hand your baby over to a stranger? That's what you need to ask yourself. The babies are better off in a facility altogether, being watched all as one, not alone in single family homes, no matter what the amount of money. And if you have children, you think about signing a piece of paper and sending that child with a stranger, or you think about sending that child into a group of people where they're all watching each other, because the kids do take care of each other too. And consider it like that from my point of view, you know. And I think that the truth will come to you like that. It hit him. And I told him, now what you need to do, I told Doug, I said, now what you need to do is go out and inform other people about this adoption plan and the dangers for those children that are involved, and the amount of children coming over our border without parents every day by these mules that are human trafficking ready made slaves. There's thousands of them. So these are things that are really going on, you know. So, and I've written a letter that I'm going to write in my head. I've written it many times already in my head, and I pretty much have what I'm going to say. And like I say, I'll read it on here. I'm gonna try and like when I write a paragraph, I try to make everything perfectly clear with as much information in the least amount of time that I possibly can. So if I can, if somebody else, if it takes them an hour to tell a story, I could probably tell the same story in a paragraph and you'd get the idea. That's, you know, that's kind of what I'm trying to say. I'm going to try and pack all my ideas to help these kids and even save money for the world, no matter where they used to adopt children out and make the state money, how they could be more productive human beings. But keep in mind, I'm battling demons on behalf of the children, because these people going along with shutting off production of fertilizer, and I'm not talking about Ukraine, I'm talking about what we have right here in the United States that they're trying to control. And then going into the fact that just like recently, um, what's it, 200,000 acres in North Dakota were sold to the Chinese. How does a communist country buy land in the United States? And I'm of the mindset that everybody that pays taxes should be paying for tax to the Native Americans that they took the land from, and be paying the natives for the land. And no, beads don't cut it, and no, they didn't have enough knowledge of the English language when those treaties were signed, and 6 treaties were broke within just a handful of months and years to when they were signed. So all that considering, they were handed a shady deal, and people are still ignoring the fact that that was the biggest and still is the biggest genocide that has ever been on any group of people, far beyond the Holocaust. All the natives were almost gone. That's how far beyond. And if you think that there aren't a lot more Jewish individuals on this planet, people with Hebrew blood, there's a lot more than there are Native Americans. So if you think of it in that respect, and you don't have to just be from Israel or speak Hebrew to be Jewish and Jewish heritage. Your ethnicity could be like Egyptian, dark skinned, or even into India, or um, there's Swedish Jews. You know, the list goes on. So yeah, they're the genocide they performed on the Native Americans to date is still the worst one. Right in my state, it was in 1876. Soldiers came into a little town south of me, wounded knee, and killed all the men and any women that got in their way. 100 and some were massacred. So that wasn't that long ago, you know. Take some awful evil people to walk in somebody's village and slaughter them, you know. So it sure does. And that, never give it another thought. And definitely don't teach it in school, you know, all the different places that happened and what happened. Or all the Native Americans and black slaves that were taken from here and taken to England and abused over there. So, yes, I do think I have a hair in my eye. Or I just don't. I don't know, it's crazy. That's not the smoke. You know, I got my exercises done early today. It was like, I'm not going to wait. That's too hard, but I'll still do it because I get my stubborn moods, and I do let my pride be activated when it comes to my physical fitness. It's like, yeah, I'm going to do it here because that's where you do it for yourself, you know. And pride isn't a sin. The greed that goes along with pride, or if you're like narcissists and you're looking in the water, loving on yourself so much that you end up falling in the water and drowning because you won't eat or sleep because you're just too damn in love with yourself, you know. That would be a problem. You know, that's pride overload, I think. I do believe, really honestly, that God does adore everybody. You know, I really believe that. So I'm not sure that He adores demons. So I'm kind of um, siding to the fact that the dark force energy is going to be carried by a certain amount of the satanic bloodline, and they're literally signing up for it from their misdeeds, and they know that they're at the end of their reign. They know that um, There's a new day dawning and they aren't going to have control anymore. So they're trying to do everything within their power, like a bunch of robots that are trying to find a soul, you know. And they do act like robots too. If you see how mechanically cold they are, it's maybe not entirely soulless for at this point, but I believe they are losing their soul, their connection with God. So, and when somebody chooses to do that, how do you um is there any way that something in our DNA or like or whatever mingling with them, could that make them good on the other hand? I haven't really seen much sign of that. What I have seen that they're able to mimic the goodness in people, but actually don't display that. And I'm also not so certain that they want that peaceful feeling. I think they like chaos, even in their own lives, like some kind of like life is too boring for them or not exciting enough for them just to have peace. Like you could drive out into the country or walk out into your yard and hear the birds and the animals talking to you and stuff. That wouldn't be something that would be really desirable for those type of people. You know, they're not really big on the God's creations, any of it. You know. So, yeah. Yeah, I know it's in God's hands, everything is, but it just seems like things, I mean, like to me, I feel like just one day things are going to feel different, like more peaceful, not more chaotic. I just feel like someday I'm going to just wake up and hear the birds singing a real big song, and everybody's hearts will feel like that. Maybe it's just a pipe dream, maybe it's which is a term, um a very old term concerning uh looking towards God but not being able to reach him, or or the pipe is so long with what your dream is that there's no end at sight. That's what a pipe dream is. But I do have faith and it is supposed to happen. I just don't know when, but I believe I'm going to wake up some morning and I'll just know that heaven came down to earth. I'll just know it. I mean, I still don't want to be here, and I want to leave it to the people that aren't going where I'm going, because it's going to be too long for them to be like that, and I can't be around it anymore, and I don't deserve to be. But and some people really don't, and we're not going to be here with them, but we'll see them again, you know. And now that those are my beliefs on that. Well, like I said, I'm gonna put a link to Robin's Hood with some of his thoughts on. He's not a total Bible scholar, but he's got it like naturally, you know. Even if he gets some a little off, or if he thinks on a new idea from somebody or something, even that can be totally funny. Or even if he's not funny in a laugh like ha ha at him type of way, more like um I recognize a lot of how I grew with the Spirit of God. I recognized that in him when I first heard him talking. And he was corny, even like 5 years ago. It's like a few times I almost, and I'm sure people get like that with anybody, but it's like I almost shut him down. But God told me to hang in there with him, and it's worth it because he's a really nice person and he's got some I think deeper insight than a lot of people. Just when he reads scriptures, um it's not a forceful thing. He's not trying to cram it down your throat. It sounds more like a dad reading to his child before they go to sleep. Or you're teaching your kids something out of a textbook and you're telling him this story and he'll give you his thoughts on that story or not. There's a lot of times he just reads it and most of the time leaves it for people's interpretations. And just like me, if somebody isn't actually trying to school me, but yet we can converse and I can consider what a person is saying. I may not even agree, but that doesn't mean that I can't see where you're at with your thinking or why you came to that conclusion or what your point of view is, or from your viewpoint, you know. So it's like somebody can understand that you can get run over by a car. But the person who has actually had that happen would have a better point of view or a point of reference on the facts than somebody that actually hasn't. So, um, well, I thank you for joining me. I think there's somebody new here. Thank you for being here. If you feel like it, say hello. I'll definitely say hi to you back, unless I'm so busy in my life I can't show my appreciation for people, but always know I love you all. Thank you for joining me. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA. Have a good night or day wherever you're at.